Hi, this is a short instruction video on how to use an automated reference system. When I do text tutorials with students, I can see that there are a lot of you that are using manual labor in putting in your references and making your bibliographies. And I want to show you a very simple tool to use that will make your life much easier. So I'm going to give you a short introduction to the Zotero program, and I will show you some examples on how to use this in Word and in the free word processor called Libreoffice. There are many ways to use this system, and there are some advanced usages. I might get into those later on. But first of all, I'm just going to show you how to do a very basic sort of setup of a bibliography in your written document. First of all, if you go to zotero.org, which is here, you are able to download this program. It works for Mac, Windows, and Linux. It's a self-standing application on your computer, and I've already gone ahead and installed this program, so it's right here on my computer right now. To your left, there's a list of different folders. You can have your references in different subfolders and sections if you like. You can also log in or create a user at Zotero, and it will sync all your references across different platforms, so you can access them anywhere. Zotero is not only a reference handling system, it can also be a great tool for research. You can save web pages and read them later here, and embed PDF files and all kinds of different sort of advanced tools to use, but I'm going to show you only the reference handling system now. So the other thing I want to emphasize is that I'm showing you a way to use Zotero that is based on the Parse guidelines. This is because we usually require the Parse guidelines for the work we do at Fine Art. There are many other ways to do this, and also there are also if you publish your text later on that where a different system is required, it's quite easy to change the whole system, the reference system inside your document, because Zotero can produce all kinds of different guidelines or bibliographies according to different guidelines. From what I can tell, it seems to me that the Parse guidelines are very close to the Oxford reference system. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and show you now. Okay, first of all, if you are having a text, I have prepared a document here with just some mumbo-jumbo text to show you how to do this. If you have this text and you are adding a reference in this text, you need to consider a couple of things. First of all, the reference already have to be existing in your Zotero library. So this is the first thing that you need to do, right? So I'm going to show you how it's done. After you install Zotero, you install plugins for Word and for Libreoffice, but you can also get a Firefox plugin for your web browser, which is showing up here in the upper right corner right now. So I have prepared this, of course, and this is an online journal called Game Studies, and this is an article that I want to refer to. I've read it and I want to refer to it in the text that I'm having in Word. Okay, so how do I do this? Well, instead of doing this manually, writing this word by word into my document, I will simply go to this icon up here, and it says Save to Zotero. I click on that button, and this article is saved to Zotero. If I go back to Zotero now, I can see that this reference has shown up here. And to the right, I can double check that things are looking okay. So it's a journal article, that makes sense. This is the title, this is the author, this is an abstract. We won't use that in our reference, but it could be useful to have here. But also note that the publication, the volume, the issue, and the date is already put in here, which are the important things. Also, the URL or the web link to the article is provided, also with the date that you accessed the article. So everything seems to be here. So that is the easy one. Okay, if I now go to a more difficult example, I have a book here which is edited by Diana Cool, among others. It is called New Materialisms, Ontology, Agency, and Politics. And if I go to this book, this is an anthology. It's edited by Diana Cool. So say if I want to refer to this article inside that book, obviously it's the writings of Elizabeth Grosz that I'm interested in at this point, and not Diana Cool. So this is actually a book section in Zotero's terms. So this is a bit more complex, but let me show you how it's done. First of all, I find the book online. If I could have found the ISBN number on the actual physical book if I had it, or inside the PDF that I just showed you, but I couldn't find it, so I googled this document. I found this listing of this book, and most importantly, I found the ISBN number. Here's where the magic starts. So I copy this ISBN number. I go back to Zotero, and now instead of using the Firefox button here, which I probably could have done, I can go back here and say use this magic wand, add items by identifier. I click on this, I paste in the ISBN number, and then Zotero checks the ISBN number against databases and automatically adds my reference here. I will again double check the things that are looking okay. The title checks out, the editor seems fine. You can check if the first and the last name is arranged like this. Place, date seems okay to me. There's nothing wrong about this. Now, as I said, I didn't want to refer to that book. I wanted to refer to this article inside the book. So I will go back here and say that this is not a book. In fact, it's going to be redefined as a book section. So I go here and I click book section. Are you sure you want to change the item type? Okay. Now, the thing is that Zotero doesn't know which section of this book I'm looking for, right? So I need to add the title and the author for this to make sense. So I go back to double check. It's called Feminism, Materialism, and Freedom. I copy that. I paste that into the title. And then I take the name of the author, which is Elizabeth Grosz. And then I need to add an author here. These are the editors of the book itself, the anthology, but I need to add an author. So I click on this plus sign right here. It says editor, but I want to change it to author. And the last name is Grosz. Not sure how to pronounce that, to be honest. First name is Elizabeth. And the title of the article is here. Okay, so these are two examples that I now have. So from this will be in my reference system whether I choose to refer to it or not. But let's now say that I need to refer to these two sources inside the Word document. So I will go back to Word here. Okay. Now let's say that I'm referring to that game article here. So what I do then is that once you open Word, after Zotero has installed correctly, there is a Zotero tab up here. So if you click on that one, you will see some icons here. Add edit citation, add edit bibliography, document preferences, and so on and so forth. The most important buttons are these two. Now, there are no bibliography right here now. So as you can see, I need to create it. But first of all, I do this by just adding the reference. So this was the game studies article. I need to check what the name of it was. Moral disengagement, okay. I go back to Word, I click where I want to have my reference. It should always, by the way, be the end of a sentence and after any punctuation marks. So I go here, add citation. And this pop-up comes up, and I choose this article right here. Now what happened, I don't know if you can see this, but there is a footnote counter being added into my document. So as you can see there. Now if I go down to the bottom of this page, you will see that this reference has been added automatically. This whole thing has been added automatically. Okay? So this reference was added by Zotero as an automatic field, and this reference was added to the bottom of my page. Now, what if I wanted a bibliography, right? A list of references or whatever you want to call it. Then I just write the heading just to make it look nice. Then I go back to Zotero tab, add, edit, bibliography, and there you go. Now, what I didn't get here now, because I did this example before I recorded the film, which is kind of was that I did not get the choice to choose the type of reference system I wanted to use, and this is important, so I'm gonna show you this now. So I actually went into the document preferences button here just to show you how this is done. So the first time you do this, first reference you add to a document, Zotero wants to know what kind of system you're using, and it will look something like this. Now, a very common style here is Chicago manual style. It has support for the author date system, so that means that instead of a footnote, there will be a parenthesis, last name of author, and then year. And if there are many references from that author from that year, there's going to be an A, B, and so on and so forth. But the one that is most similar to Oxford and to the Parse guidelines system is this one, Modern Humanities Research Association. So you need to click on that or select that. And I prefer footnotes. You might prefer different, but in this case I will choose footnotes as where my citations will be put. I click OK, and then if I go back to the bibliography, if the style that I had chosen right now had been different from the one I got, this one would probably look a bit different. But the point is here that this is consistent with the style that I have chosen. Okay. So let's say that this whole paragraph is a quote. I'm going to check if So we usually say, we usually say that if you have a quote, a direct quote from someone that is more than 30 words, it makes sense to put this in a separate quotation paragraph. And Word, for instance, has a style for this. I don't like that specific style, but at least we can meet halfway and have some margins on the left and right side indented so that it's a bit thinner like this. It makes sense. Now, I want to, after any of these direct quotes, I need a reference at the end, okay? So now let's see if we can add that Grosch reference that we did. So I will once more go to the Zotero tab, click Add Edit Citation. I will just type the first words here, and obviously this one has pages, right? The internet article didn't, but this one has. So in order for me to add the page to where I actually pick this quote from, I click on this particular link, and then I get a pop-up that allows me to put in the right page number. Let's say page 164. We are back in Word, and we can double check how things went by going to the bottom of the page. And here you can see that Elizabeth Grosch is credited for this quote. This is the name of the article. Inside this book, it says in New Materialisms and so on and so forth. Here are the editors. Everything looks okay. Page 164. Everything is okay here. If we go down to the bibliography, you can see that Elizabeth Grosch is added automatically, obviously in alphabetical order and so on. And everything is looking great here from this end too. The point of this now is not only do you save work by automating the procedures, it means that instead of adding a footnote manually and manually writing in the name and so on, you can add the book once, and then forever use it as a reference in your future writings as well. And not only that, it is style independent. It means that once you say, if you have an article here and you want to publish this in a different place and they don't use Oxford or the Parse guidelines at all you have to do is go up to the document preferences and then change the style, click OK, and then it changes for you. See, now I did the author date style. Now there's no longer any footnotes. It's parentheses, the last name of the reference and year, exactly after the Chicago author date style. Same here with Elizabeth Grosz. Grosz is in parentheses, the page 164, perfectly in line with the style of reference style that I have chosen. So this is an automated way of doing it. And what I mean by showing you this is that you should never ever write a bibliography by hand. You should never write references by hand, because there are tools in place that will help you with this and make your life much easier. It will also become it's also easier to make to do a correct referencing, because Zotero makes sure that you're consistent in your referencing as long as your source is correct, of course. Okay, how does this look in LibreOffice? LibreOffice is an open source free software that is downloadable, and it works on all platforms. Let's see if I wanted to once more do this reference to the game article at the end of this paragraph. This particular version of LibreOffice has the citation, has its Zotero buttons embedded into the tool bars of the sort of default system. So I can go click here. There you go. Then this is the first time I've used this system on this document. So it asks me what kind of style I want. I will choose Modern Humanities because that is consistent with the Parse guidelines. I click OK. Let's see, I can't remember the name of that. Here it was. And then we said that this one was a quote, right? By, let's see if there's a quote. No, there was no quote here. Doesn't matter. Let's pretend that this is a quote. And then I add a citation, and this was still Elizabeth Grosz. And it's, let's say it's still page 164. I go back here. Now the references are set, but the bibliography has not been added yet, so I will do like this. Well, let's do references here just to show you that there are different ways to do that. And then I add reference, and there you go. So it doesn't matter, you don't need Word to use this system, but Word is obviously like a market leader, but LibreOffice will do this job just as nicely as Word is doing it. So that's it. That's all I wanted to show you, and I want to emphasize that adding books in this way is very, very easy. If you go to any book store like Adlibris and you search for a book, there is usually a part of let's see if we can take any kind of book, but it should be a let's see if we can take just something that is quite, so we can take this one. This is a Swedish version of that particular book. Let's see how that works. There you go, the Swedish title. The author, that's not an author. I think this is a translator, so I need to change that. This is a good example because this was an example of something I needed to check, right? Okay, the publisher seems okay. 2007 makes sense. There you go. So you don't even have to punch this in manually, okay? So this should make your life much easier. That's it. Download Zotero, have a go at it, see if you like it. For me, it's a lifesaver. It saves me a lot of time. Word has a reference system, but it doesn't support all the styles. Even LibreOffice has it, but it certainly doesn't support all the styles. As a student at the university, you have you can use the license for EndNote, which is a big, very advanced program. It doesn't. There's no point in using that because Zotero can do the job much easier, and it's smaller and faster and more fuss-free. But EndNote will do the job as well. The point is that you never ever manually handle references again. Thanks.